Hello students, good morning to all. So in this video we are starting with the oxides of group 17. Before proceeding with the oxides, we in the last video we left one property, that is the color of halogens, general property of halogens we were discussing, and we just skipped the color, to skip to discuss the color of halogens. So the halogens are colored compounds, as fluorine appears yellow, fluorine is yellow, bromine is brown, iodine is violet. Why these are yellow in color? This is because when the ionization energy of halogens coincide with that of the visible range, it falls in the visible range. So based upon this, whenever an electron is promoted from the ground state to the excited state, it absorbs energy in the visible range, and that visible, and due to that these appears color to us. So as fluorine is smallest in size, so electron is most, the energy gap between the ground state and the excited state of fluorine is going to be high. So based upon this, the highest energy is absorbed by fluorine, and lowest energy is absorbed by iodine. So if fluorine is absorbing the highest energy, so the color which appears to us will correspond to the lowest energy, that is, it is absorbing violet light, which is high energy radiation, but it appears yellow to us, that is why. And iodine is absorbing lowest energy radiation, that is yellow colored radiation, and it appears purple to us. So this is the reason why these halogens are colored. Now we are starting with the oxides of group 17 elements. So all the halogens form oxides except for fluorine. Fluorine is more electronegative in comparison to oxygen, as it is more electronegative than oxygen. So the oxides of fluorine are better called as fluorides, as the suffix is always the name is after the name of the anion. So here the role of anion in case of compounds of oxygen and fluorine, the role of anion will be played by fluorine, because of the electronegativity of fluorine is greater than the electronegativity of oxygen. These are the electronegativities of these compounds and of oxygen and the halogens. So oxygen is having the electronegativity of 3.5, whereas fluorine is having electronegativity of 4, which further decreases as we move down the group to 2.5 for iodine. Some important oxides of halogens are written here. All these oxides are powerful oxidizing agents which explode when subjected to shock or heat. So these oxides are not that much stable. These are the corresponding oxidation states in which these oxides or fluorides, for the case of fluorine, do exist, and these are used as powerful oxidizing agents which explodes upon heating and upon giving shock. So first oxide, or we should say fluoride, which we are going to discuss is OF2. Here oxygen is having the oxidation, sorry, fluorine is having the oxidation state of -1. It is prepared by passing fluorine gas through 2% solution of aqueous alkali, that is NaOH. So from here we'll get OF2. It is colorless poisonous gas which condenses to yellow liquid. It is used as fluorinating agent. It dissolves in water to form oxygen but explodes with steam. As steam is having the high temperature, so it explodes with steam because it explodes with heat. So this is its reaction with water is producing oxygen. It is not hydrolyzed by water, but it does get hydrolyzed by alkalis. That is, OF2, when is reacted with NaOH, it produces oxygen and NaF. There is one interesting reaction it exhibits with H2S. This is an important reaction, as when it is reacted with OF2 is reacted with H2S at room temperature, it exhibits explosion. That means it is highly exothermic reaction. So this property of reaction of OF2 with H2S is used as a rocket fuel. Next, we have to discuss the structure of OF2. It is having the value of Z as 4. Z we have calculated from the shortcut using the hybridization, where Z is equal to half multiplied by number of valence electrons in the central element plus any negative charge on the compound minus any positive charge and plus the number of monovalent atoms present in the formula. So based upon this, for this Z comes out to be 4, where 4 value of Z means it is sp3 hybridized. If the value of Z is 2, it means it is sp hybridized. For 3, it is sp2 hybridized. For 4, it is sp3 hybridized. For 5, it is sp3d hybridization. For 6, it is sp3d2 hybridization. So this way, as we increase the Z, the hybridization, corresponding hybridization is there. So it is having sp3 hybridization. As we can see, there are 2 bond pairs based upon 2 fluorines are there with 1 oxygen. So 2 lone pairs and 2 bond pairs would be there to have the hybridization to be tetrahedral. As we know, the major role of the hybridization is formed by the lone pairs and the bond pairs together, and the shape is formed by just the bond pairs. So hybridization and geometry has to do with the lone pair and the bond pair. So there are 2 lone pair plus 2 bond pair, that means 4. So the hybridization is sp3 and geometry is tetrahedral based upon sp3 hybridization, and the shape is bent, where we are not including the lone pairs. Bent means inverted V shaped. Next oxide to be discussed is O2F2, that is dioxygen difluoride. Here also fluorine is in -1 oxidation state. It is prepared by passing electric discharge at -196 degrees Celsius from the mixture of oxygen and fluorine. We get O2F2. Coming to the properties, it is highly unstable, decomposes into its elemental forms, that is oxygen and fluorine, at -160 degrees Celsius. It is yellow-orange solid. It is a strong fluorinating agent at low temperatures, that is at the temperature of -150 degrees Celsius. It can be used as fluorinating agent. It can be used for the fluorination of ClF to ClF3. Excuse me. It can be used for the fluorination of BRF3 to BRF5, SF4 to SF6. It exhibits a very interesting reaction with H2S, that when it is reacted with H2S, here H is not there, it is O2F2. When it is reacted with H2S, we get SF6 and HF. Both the hydrogen and sulfur get fluorinated with O2F2, and we get corresponding SF6, corresponding fluorides of hydrogen and sulfur both. Coming to the structure, it has Q structure. As the formula is very much similar to H2O2, so it is having the similar structure just like H2O2. This structure is also Q-shaped structure with shorter with OO bond distance shorter in comparison to that of H2O2 and longer OF bonds in comparison to H2O2. Next oxide to be discussed is Cl2O, that is chlorine monoxide, or we can say dichlorine monoxide. Here chlorine is in +1 oxidation state. So it is prepared by passing chlorine gas over freshly prepared mercuric oxide, and we get dichlorine monoxide. With alkali, it gives the corresponding salts, that is hypochlorites. Also, on hydrolysis, when this Cl2O is reacted with water, we get hypochlorous acid, and with alkalis we get hypochlorite. So the corresponding salt of hypochlorous acid is formed. So we can say this Cl2O is the anhydride of this hypochlorous acid, that is HClO. It is strong oxidizing agent. It can oxidize HCl to Cl2. All these oxides of halogens are used as oxidizing agents. Gaseous mixture with ammonia is very exploding in nature. With this reaction, it releases large amount of nitrogen gas. Coming to the structure, here oxygen, as the formula is OCl2. Oxygen is sp3 hybridized based upon we have calculated Z for this thing also, and Z comes out to be 4. So oxygen is sp3 hybridized with tetrahedral geometry with 2 lone pairs, 2 bond pairs, and the shape is bent, or we can say V shape. Here, a very interesting question arises that when we compare OF2, OCl2, and OBr2, there is difference in bond angle. That is, bond angle for OF2 is 103 degrees, bond angle of OCl2 is 111 degrees, and bond angle of OBr2 is greater than, greater than 111 degrees. So why it is so? This is based upon the electronegativity difference of the central element, that is oxygen, and the corner atom. Here, fluorine is more electronegative than oxygen. So based upon this, the bond pairs of the OF bond will get attracted towards fluorine and move away from the central element, and there decreases repulsions between the bond pair, and the bond angle decreases for the case of OF2 from the tetrahedral bond angle. For OCl2, as standard tetrahedral bond angle is 109. So for the case of OCl2, as oxygen is more electronegative, as the arrow indicates, the oxygen electronegativity of oxygen is more than that of fluorine. So what happens is the bond pairs of the OCl bond, both the OCl bonds, get shifted towards oxygen, and there is crowding of bond pairs nearby oxygen. So there occurs repulsion between bond pairs, due to which the bond angle becomes greater than the standard 109 degree for tetrahedral geometry. Same is the case with bromine bond angle. Here bromine is further less electronegative in comparison to chlorine. So bond pairs will shift more towards oxygen in case of OBr bond. So the bond angle further increases and is greater than that of OCl2, and which is further greater than OF2. So this is the reason for the difference in bond angles for these OF2, OCl2, and OBr2. Next oxide to be discussed is chlorine dioxide, that is ClO2. Here chlorine is in +4 oxidation state. It is prepared from sodium chloride. Is when reacted with chlorine in the presence of air, what we get chlorine dioxide. It is used as strong oxidizing agent. That further it is dissolved in water. It exhibits exothermic reaction and produces a mixture of 2 oxo acids, that is chlorous acid and chloric acid. So it is a mixed anhydride of both these acids, as we get mixture of chlorous acid and chloric acid when we react this chlorine dioxide with water. Further, when it is reacted with water in the presence of light, what we get hypochlorous acid and HCl. That is, we get hypochlorites and chloride. So it is when it is reacted with alkali in the absence of light, what we gonna get is we get sodium salt of chloride. Here it is chloride and sodium salt of chlorate plus water. So when any oxide reacts with water, we get the corresponding oxo acids, of which it is an anhydride, and with the corresponding base we'll get the salt of those oxo acids only, of which it is having the gas is anhydride of which acid, we get salts of corresponding those acids only. Next we have structure. Structure of ClO2 is very interesting, as when we calculate the value of Z for ClO2, it comes out to be 7. So it comes out to be actually 3.5. So the total comes out to be 7, and when it is multiplied by half, it comes out to be 3.5. So from here we get to know that there is an odd electron present with fluorine. as a central element. So for this odd electron, what happens is it can form, it has two options. It can either be present as, it is considered equivalent to lone pair also, or it can be present, it can involve itself in two-centered 3-electron bond. So both the possibilities are there, and if uh, when we consider 3.5 as 4, that means Z of 4, that is geometry is going to be tetrahedral if the single electron present behaves individually, but if it is present in the form of 3-electron two-centered bond, then the hybridization is going to be going to correspond to the value of Z to be 3. That is sp2 hybridized. Here, based upon the experimental observation, it was found that 3-electron two-centered bond was present, which was confirmed from the bond length of OCl bond length, which was found to lie in between single and double bond. So this confirmed the presence of three electron two-centered bond, which confirmed the geometry to be sp2 hybridized and to be trigonal planar. Next oxide to be discussed is Cl2O6, which is dichlorohexoxide. Here chlorine is in +6 oxidation state. It is prepared from chlorine dioxide. When it is oxidized, we'll get dichlorohexoxide. It is strong oxidizing agent. It is dark red liquid. With alkalis, it gives mixture of chlorates and perchlorates. That means it is an anhydride of chloric and perchloric acid, and with alkalis, it gives us salts of corresponding oxoacids, that is chloric acid and perchloric acid, and we get sodium chloride and sodium perchloride. Sorry, sodium chlorate and sodium perchlorate. It is diamagnetic, but in its vapor form, due to partial dissociation of two ClO3 units, it exhibits paramagnetism. Next oxide of chlorine is Cl2O7. It is dichlorine heptoxide. It is the most stable oxide of chlorine. It is prepared from the perchloric acid, from the reaction of perchloric acid with P4O10, which is a powerful dehydrating agent. That means it is prepared from the dehydration of the perchloric acid. That means it is an anhydride of perchloric acid. So this oxide, when is reacted with water, what we get is we get perchloric acid, and metaphosphoric acid is formed as byproduct. This is the structure of this dichlorine heptoxide. Here one oxygen is present as bridge between two ClO3 units. Again, the hybridization is sp3 for each chlorine. Next, we shift to the oxides of bromine. First oxide to be discussed is dibromo oxygen, that is dibromo oxide. It is prepared by dropping bromine over dry mercuric oxide, which is freshly prepared in the presence of CCl4 as solvent, and we get Br2O. The preparation is very much similar to that of Cl2O, which also Cl2, as we learned that Cl2O is an anhydride of hypochlorous acid. So here Br2O is an anhydride of hypobromous acid, and with alkalis Cl2O was giving NaClO, that is hypochlorides, and Br2O with alkalis will give sodium hypobromides. It is structurally similar to Cl2O and F2O. The bond angle variation in F2O, Cl2O and Br2O we have already discussed, as I have already mentioned that it is an important question from the examination point of view, that why such variation is there in the bond angle. Next oxide of bromine is BrO2, that is bromine dioxide. Here bromine is in +4 oxidation state. It is prepared from the oxidation of bromine gas, and it is not bromine gas, it is bromine, which is a liquid at room temperature. It is oxidized in the presence of when the electric discharge is passed through this mixture, and we get BrO2. that is bromine dioxide. This bromine dioxide, when reacted with alkalis, that is NaOH, what we get is we get a mixture of bromides and hypobromides, that is NaBr and NaBrO. Next oxide of bromine is BrO3, where bromine is in +6 oxidation state. It is prepared by the oxidation of bromine at low temperature. With the passage of electric discharge, we get BrO3. It decomposes above -80 degrees Celsius to its elemental reactants. It is strong oxidizing agent. Its acidic, its solution is acidic in water. Next we have I2O5. It is white hygroscopic solid, which is an anhydride of iodic acid, as it is prepared by heating iodic acid, with which generates I2O5 with the loss of water. This I2O5 is an anhydride of iodic acid, so this I2O5 is having great affinity for water to get it converted to iodic acid. It is also a strong oxidizing agent that it can convert H2S to sulfur, HCl to chlorine, and it can also convert carbon monoxide to CO2 with the release of iodine gas. So this reaction can be used for the estimation of carbon monoxide, as the iodine released is further titrated against sodium thiosulfate, this Na2H2O3. When it is titrated against this, we get how much iodine is produced, and that measures the amount of carbon monoxide present in the mixture or present in atmosphere. It is used for the estimation of carbon monoxide present in samples or in the atmosphere. This is the structure of I2O5, which is planar with one bridged oxygen. Next, we'll discuss the oxo acids of halogen. For this video, we'll find up with the oxides, and in the next video, we'll be doing the oxo acids of group 17 elements. So that is it for this video. Thank you.